Hey, beautiful souls and creative minds. Welcome to the Artist Stoop, the podcast where we turn the art world into your personal playground. I'm Jillian Zepeda, your host, and I can't wait to dive into the art world with you. Each episode will be kicking it with an incredible artist, unraveling their stories and turning the spotlight on the magic that happens beyond the brush. Get ready to discover new perspectives, forge connections, and immerse yourself one captivating conversation at a time. So grab your favorite beverage, maybe a sketchbook, and let's jump into the kaleidoscope of creativity together. This is the Artist Stoop, where art isn't just a thing you see, it's an experience you feel.
Oh, there we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Artist Stoop. Today, our guest artist is Alan Simonton. He's been a dedicated real estate agent for the past 10 years, but his true passion has always been art. Married to his wonderful wife, Michelle, for 25 years, he's the proud father of 3 amazing kids, Caitlin, Lucas, and Gracie. His journey as an artist has been a lifelong pursuit, and now he's finally in a place to share his creative vision with the world. So welcome, Alan, to the podcast.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me okay? Are we good?
Yeah, we're awesome.
Excellent. Oh,
yeah.
Simonton.
Simonton, I am so sorry. And you told me that right before we jumped on, and my brain, I have mom brain, and my kids been teething, so I haven't been sleeping much.
I totally get it. I just, was just going to come right out and correct you because that's, I'm just rude that way.
How many times do you have to correct people? How often?
Often.
All the time?
Often. And my wife goes by her maiden name, and her last name is Ozimy. Ozymmy.
Oh, wow.
So she gets it worse. It's Czech. So, it's Simonton.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not offended. It's a great audience you have here, and
we want to get it right for them. They need to know the truth. Don't worry, I get it too. People are, not so much now because technically, legally, my last name is Guzman, but I still go by my maiden name, like Zepeda, with like all the art stuff, and I get Zepeda all the time, or Zapato, and I'm like, no, it's not shoe.
These aren't people. Shoe. No.
Because zapatos means shoe in Spanish.
Zapatos, yeah.
Yeah, so I get that sometimes, but the most I get is Zepeda. Like,
I would never. I mean, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, but less, technically now it's. Yeah, it would have like a little accent or something over it. But now my last name's legally Guzman, so that's easy. So that's easy to say, so people don't mess up as much.
It's strange. Like our names are so important as artists for recognition and I've always interested in wondering why some artists, painters and visual arts choose to go by some odd name. It's cool but I don't know, man. I'm just gonna go with who I am.
Yeah, and like I don't know for you. I don't know. I found this with other women artists, not so much men.
Mm-hmm.
I sign my paintings a J and then my last name.
Makes a difference.
It does. I don't want people knowing right away that I'm a female artist.
Man, I see it because my wife and I, we run a real estate company as well. And I've witnessed the difference in the way clients treat her to the way they treat me, so we do have different personalities, obviously, so we interact differently, but it's a little disturbing sometimes. And man, I'm so inspired by female artists and female entrepreneurs and, my mom, raised me, stepdad, and so I spent most of my time with her. And I've got 3 stepsisters, I've got 2 daughters and a son, and it is just really big for me to respect, not just women, but all artists, no matter orientation. But I've also seen that I do some marketing. And I have to consider if I put people in it, I have to consider who I put into the image for, if they're going to click on the email or not. And I don't like that one bit. And so I just try to go with graphics. But anyways,
we digress.
we already went off. Okay. All right. Okay.
So I've met you a couple times. So, and they both have been at the other art fair.
Yes.
So the first time I met you, was it the May of, not this year, last year?
23.
23.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, May of this year. And I was walking around and, you stopped me and went, hey! Yeah, you did. You're like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, and I totally remembered your art. And because it stood out to me. One, you were also down at the end of we were kind of booth aisle.
We were in the same aisle. Yeah, I remember you described one of my paintings like it was this painting and and to perfection. I was like, yeah, that was my painting.
It was the one that you had used on some plywood, and there was some other materials mixed in. I think it was. I just love broken edges and found object art and that kind of stuff. I like all kinds, but those. Yeah. I'm one that keeps a lot of stuff around me, and you never know. Like, I've got this really cool. How did I find this? I don't know. It's packing paper. Look how cool this packing paper is.
Yeah, and then you can layer it on to have texture and use a gel medium to put it on, and then paint over it. I've got 2 big
sheets of it. I could weave it. Anyways, I love it. Yeah, that was an amazing piece of art. I'm glad you sold it.
I am too. Yeah, which it then prompted you. You started painting more figures, and you showed me a couple at the fair. So, what made you want to start bringing the figure into your work, and where did that inspiration come from?
I've always drawn people. I started out obviously pencil and paper, color pencils, and I always gotten really good at drawing figures or people. But with the paintbrush, that's a little different. So I was wanting to add more figures into my art because I love the flow and the personality that can really show up, kind of like even the Renaissance paintings and all that. When you see figures, I think there's so much possibilities with lighting and depth, and you can get that in abstract, and I love abstract. I think we'll talk about that, but I think people, and I do, connect with a piece sometimes better when there's figures in it. But for me, I like the expression. I want them dancing, I want them moving, I want to flow, and it not just be an abstract composition, which I do love too. But I love that. I love the energy coming out from folks, whether it's facial expression. One of the pieces I showed you, and I may have shared a picture with you. It's called In Step, and it was very popular and sold really quickly, which was cool. And it was my first kind of attempt at adding figures. And as most pieces, it started out as just kind of an intuitive, putting paint on the paper. And then I just chipped away, literally kind of like Michelangelo said, the sculpture's already in there. I just have to remove all the stuff around it. And I just chipped away, and these figures just kind of flowed almost in kind of a golden ratio, which was really cool. So I'm enjoying practicing that. I've got this painting behind me, and got some little guys right here. They might be a toll booth, and then there's a little one. I know it's hard to see, but this is a big piece I'm working on back there.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like the colors.
That's me being muted. Yeah. Muted.
For people who aren't watching on YouTube, this painting is not muted at all. There is a lot there. No, let me put that. It's a warm, sunset tones with a lot of greenery.
Golden hour.
Yep. So it is muted, but it's like warm tones muted, like a
Yes.
monochrome tone on
I'm
tone.
going to make the outside, you can see the greens, so the plan is to make all of this back here foliage to close that in, so that the image that you see is this.
Is it like under a bridge?
Yeah, so it's got a.
Okay.
I can grab it if you want, but
okay.
it's got a curved branch that goes over, and that's what you're viewing through. That's your viewfinder.
Yeah.
So this curved branch that's going over foliage all around, kind of a river coming through with the shading of the tree, and then through that you're going to see kind of a golden hour sunset with the trees and the bridge, and maybe a rocky shoreline. So I love landscapes as well.
Yeah.
And that's, I like to practice all things.
Well, I think it's good to keep, there's certain things that I have a hard time doing, like landscapes is one of those, but when you have the repertoire and you can continue to like practice doing just like basic drawing skills, like doing still lifes, doing landscapes, doing people, it just like, it creates more opportunities for you in your art. And, the fact that you have all that, because you do, I've seen your work where you have do these landscapes, but then you also do abstracts. So it's just like your art is vast in what you show to everyone. It's kind of like you paint how you're feeling in the moment, and you're like, I want to do this.
That's exactly right. Intuitive, there's nothing that beats intuition. I think Paul Klee did that. And he also said that one eye sees and the other one feels.
I like that.
Right? So for artists, I think that emotion is what we want to capture. And mine are a little, I'm a roller coaster of emotion. I'm not afraid to say that.
We all are as artists.
Yeah, a little dramatic, a bit of an a-hole sometimes. At least I've been told that.
We all can be.
Yeah. Hello. But yeah, I do understand that going after one practice and one, you find that signature style is significant. But what I would like to do, and I think you might have in the question you may have asked me, but I do like working in series, but I call it reflect and burst. So I'm reflecting, I'm learning, I'm looking, I'm studying, I'm sketching, which, like you said, any artist should have pencil and paper and sketching and practicing and training your eye to see shadow and light, right? But yeah, series, abstract. I want it. It's not always good, but I still put it out there. And it's amazing that people respond. I had such an emotional response from a guy. I think I might have told you at the other art fair, to a piece, and he was literally like standing there almost in tears. And I'd never had anyone have a reaction like that. He was reflecting back on childhood trauma. Wow. And the piece reminded him of, because it's burnt umber, sienna, a little bit of blue, and kind of have a dark, I may have sent it to you. It's called Embers.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, this is me sitting in the corner, because it's the only safe space I had as a kid in the darkness, because you can see kind of a figure, right? And then he's like, yeah, and this is where my window was, because there's a streak of blue. And I was like, bro, I feel you. Like, you're making me, maybe that's where this came from for me, because I'm getting chills just thinking about this guy. He stood there, I don't know how long, walked around, came back. He was not interested in buying the piece. And I don't blame him, because it probably was a reminder, but he was fascinated with it. And even he didn't buy it, was still it's the experience that keeps you going. When you connect on a level that's so deep that it's drawing that kind of emotion out. Powerful.
Yeah. I did a workshop in the spring, and it was kind of like a master class on, who you are as an artist and making more honest art. And one of the things or tasks that we had to do was to reach back out to past collectors and ask them, what has my art done for you? When you look at what does it do for you? You're right, that down. What does it do for you? And, I was like, I never thought of that and I did it. And because I asked just a couple of people that I knew that would actually respond. And the responses that I got were just so heartwarming, and it made me cry, because it's just like, wow, my art did that for you.
Your piece is the focus of their art world.
Yeah, and it was really special. Like, one of them was a commission,
Okay.
So it was an extension of my Chemical Rapture collection, and which was the collection was all about being intimate with your partner. And so it was personal in the sense that I went over and we staged scenes, and I photographed them, and then I used their photo of them as my reference photo to abstract. They said they wanted to be subtly abstract. They still wanted to see lines, curves, and the curves and everything. And it's hanging very prominently in their bedroom, which I also helped design. And they're like, we look at it every day. And it's just, yeah, because I do interior designer. Yeah. So, they're like, it's just a reminder of our love and our commitment, because they've been married for a long, long time. And when they walk into their bedroom, they aren't mom and dad; they are husband and wife.
Right. Correct.
And so it's that gentle reminder for them that that's what that is. And then the one piece that you loved. The wood, it was based off of the Senorita song by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. Okay. And the woman who bought that piece, she recently had gotten divorced. And that piece is hanging in her bedroom. And she's like, I wanted it because it's now a reminder for me that I deserve that kind of passion and that love in a relationship.
Come on.
Right? And I'm just like, I did that for you? So it's amazing. If you go back and ask the people, and then it makes us as artists go, okay, what I'm doing is right. I've already known it in my gut that I needed to be an artist, but to be able to touch people's lives as I have and how I will be with other paintings and whatnot in the future, it just makes you warm and tingly inside.
That's a great story. I love that. And I remember standing at your booth, and you told me, you said, okay, this is what you just explained, because I was checking out your canvases. And I like to kind of, as a visual, I like to trace kind of some of the composition so I can see it. And you said, yeah, that's exactly what...
Yep, that's exactly what you're seeing. There's no hiding. They are having sexy time on that canvas.
I'm putting things together, and I'm like, oh. I love it. It was awesome.
I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So how was the other art fair for you? Was it a success? Did you have fun? Did you sell some stuff? It was a busy fair. It was a really busy fair.
It was my best show out of all the art fairs and shows that I've ever done. It's the best as far as money-wise.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah, thank you. Which is a big deal, right? I wanted to at least make my fair money back, which I actually did. I think I profited $160.
You got your fair booth back.
Yeah. But last other art fair, I sold only $512 worth of art.
I mean, last May I didn't make it. Oh no, I made $150, I think, last
Wow.
May. I only, because I didn't sell any of my big pieces. I sold a couple of my smaller originals that I had, a couple $100. But
Yeah. So I went in. I said, okay, I'm not doing any other shows this year, beginning of the year, except for that one. So I spent that time prepping, not only just with art, but like physically, chiropractor, and the way I was eating. Like I needed to physically be ready to be on my feet and still be engaged and happy and or whatever. And so I was looking. Now probably was a little low on some of my pricing, but it was new art. I wanted to get it out there, but it was also priced higher than I normally price. So something at $189 that I was trying to sell now $545, and I was selling those. So that to me was an indicator. Yeah. It was an indicator that not necessarily the pricing. Yes, it was good, but the work that I'm doing is really starting to come into its own.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my, next I want to work into that mid-career artist, which is a label that I've heard from some galleries. So I'm going to look into that and see what that looks like. And, I still have my other businesses that I run, but this is what I want to do for the rest of the days. And I will do it. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing as artists, no matter what, even if we, like, someone once told me, very wise woman, she told me, because she's been an artist, she owns her own store, and she's been an artist pretty much her entire life. And she's like, as an artist, sometimes you have to have an A and B job so that you can do your art. You will always do your art. We will, us as artists, will never not be creating art.
Yeah.
But sometimes, in order to fund our art, because believe it or not, art supplies are expensive.
Yeah.
We have to have other sources of income to be able to supply that and to keep ourselves sane.
Yes. Not everyone, is Jackson Pollock and all of these guys, but my brother was, and he's actually a lot of my inspiration for actually moving into this career. He was a professional arts installer at a private gallery in New York. And
cool.
So, yeah, I got to go and visit and just see like that next, like that high end level. Like this is a gallery she's got one in London and one in Chelsea.
Oh, wow.
And so I really got to see like high end, high level art, and it just blew me away. This is before I stepped into this, but it really inspired me to say, okay, you're not good at this. Maybe you don't need to pursue something like this. You just be creative in what you're doing and let these other guys create. You can just go look at it and enjoy it and, criticize it or love it. And so my brother, he actually passed away 2-3 years ago.
He had
oral cancer, and thank you. And him being an artist, me always working, being creative, wanting to do that. I said it was during COVID, got it real bad. My lungs got hit, so I was laying in bed a lot. So I just picked up a couple of little sketchbooks like this, and I was just laying in the bed, sketching and drawing, just see if it would go anywhere. And here I am on your show. So
yeah, I think it's great, and I love your work because you do have the good variety of stuff, but it's just like everything works so well together. It does. I thought you were. I didn't know that you only started in. I thought you've been painting like forever.
No. I purposefully took time. There's an artist down in, his name's Lane Johnson. Have you heard of him? He's down in Fredericksburg or something like that. He does these dramatic clouds, but I like what he said. He says, you got to have butt and chair time. and that's what I've been practicing, and I've been using different brushes and materials. But yeah, my color palette is vibrant, so I'll do something like like a landscape, but then I love doing things like this.
Yeah.
You know, and this is Bugsy. I sold 3 of him.
Oh, nice.
At the fair, and then had a commission afterwards because she couldn't purchase it. Yeah, totally cool. Just this little bird.
I know, it's amazing how that happens.
Yeah. I love illustration. I started out drawing a lot when I was growing, and as I was getting a little older, I was still a kid. But comic books, man, it was when X-Men was coming out. The Hulk was my favorite, so I would spend a lot of time drawing those. So then I had to, as I got older, I had to break myself from that because understanding color, still trying to figure out color and shading and depth and perspective, that was a hard thing for me to figure out and learn. So if I could recommend something, used bookstores are fantastic for supply. Man, just everywhere I go and when I travel, we find a used bookstore, and I always find, like, I've got a bookshelf of full stuff.
Oh yeah, Half Price Books also is amazing.
Yep, Half Price Books. I don't know. There's little kitschy stores that. Oh yeah, here it is. If I can get it over.
Yeah.
That.
Perspective. Oh yeah. Well, I taken
a little book, and I can go back to it, and
reference
so
it.
instead of adding figures, I had to use this book, and you can kind of this already, but I love it. It taught me perspective on people, on how to make it actually look real. Anyways,
Yeah, I had
a study and learn. But thank you though for the compliment that you felt like I had been painting forever.
Yeah, no, I really had. No, perspective is a funny thing. I actually, when I originally started college, I started college for interior design, interior architecture at a school in Boston. And I was there for one semester, and then I switched and went to California and went to film school. So, big leap. But one of the classes that I did take while I was there was a perspective and rendering class, because we had to start drawing interiors from by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably one of my favorite classes, because you have to be very, very patient, which is not one of my skills, but it was one of those things that if you can understand perspective, and get your center point, and then where the line is your vanishing points and where they're going to go, it really, really, really helps, And I think it's really interesting because, like, if you look at, old Renaissance paintings, it wasn't until Da Vinci, they didn't understand perspective. So that's why, like, all those paintings are super, super flat. And it wasn't until, like, you can add depth and perspective. And so when that changed, I think it's one of those things that I think really made a great impact on art after that.
Agreed. Yeah. I've actually read a little bit about that, and it talked about the transition from that, early medieval, times where it was flat images to how it progressed through just a short time. Then there was the Renaissance movement, and everything changed. And the other thing that really helped me with my landscapes and shading was learning about lighting and shadow points. So the light is here's your light, and calculating that, I was blown away. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So now it's a little bit more intuitive because I've been training my eye, and I can just kind of, okay, here's my vanishing points, and then just go from there, which is great. But I highly recommend doing it. So interior design, I've been a realtor, real estate agent for 10 years. helping people buy and sell homes. And in interior design, I love well-designed homes. I've also seen some of the worst, not just design, but people's artwork, which does help define, am I making decor or am I making art?
There's a difference.
You go to World Market, you can go to, these other places and buy, these big fake pieces, but so I had to consider that. And a lot of my real estate clients have actually bought art from me.
Oh, that's cool. Being able to have that little connection is just like you have your own set of potential collectors, and being able to go out and do that. That's awesome.
I actually got asked by an interior designer. They were working on this large home, and it had this pond with a fountain in the back, and it was somebody I knew, and she was like, "Hey, I'm designing this house. I need a commission piece." It was my first commission piece, and it was just the pond with the fountain, and it was color pencil, and I thought it was the coolest thing. It just fit right on the shelf. I got the color scheme from her, and I got to walk around the guy's house, check out all his other art, and I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, I don't know if I worthy of this. I remember my first commission. It's terrifying to do your first commission.
My wife she's like, you don't need to do any more commissions. I'm like, but I love doing commissions. She's like, you get so upset and frustrated and you hate it. And you do 7 versions of it. I'm like, I know, but look at
look at the progress I made.
I mean, I literally have learned 17 lessons through this process. I did
the same thing with my first commission. It was a photo of so my ex-husband, his mom was a high-end interior designer in Oregon, and she had some clients, and they had a picture of their daughter who was sleeping with their little boxer puppy, and eyes closed, and it was like they were snuggling. It was really cute. Yeah. And at the time, I had been doing a lot of portraiture, just pencil and paper and charcoal and all that. And she's like, will you do, this is the photo they want to commission. I was like, no. And she's like, yes, I already told them you would do it. And I was like, no. She's like, I already told them you would do it. I drew that thing. And her face was added on. Yeah, I did not have an option. I had to do it. And I drew that thing probably 5 times before I actually drew it final, because I was terrified. They're going to think it's shit, and it's it has to look like the person. I can't fudge this.
You're trying to do hyper realism at some point. I tried it. I'm realizing I can't do that.
Not my cup of tea. I was terrified.
Yeah. I'm actually tonight just taking an online free course on color mixing for portraits, oil paint. Oh, nice. So I'm stepping into just another, I've been painting, but I'm just now getting comfortable with oil paints.
Oh, I'm still not comfortable with them. I cheat. I use the RF pigment sticks. It's lipstick consistency, and it's a oil and wax combo, because it's for encaustic painting. Because it's for encaustic painting, which is one of the original ways the Greeks and Romans painted, was painting with wax. So there's, it comes in a tube, and it truly is a lipstick, chapstick consistency, but it's oil mixed with wax, and it's great. I highly recommend it if you want to dip your toe into oils.
Okay.
Obviously, I still want to learn how to paint with oils, but they frighten me.
And that's I want to know that I'm being a nerd about it. I want to know the chemical reactions and what works, what doesn't work. Here's what I like. Okay, the oil painting's done. Do I have to sit here for 6 months and stare at it while it dries, or can I? What do I? I don't know what to do yet. So
there's mediums that you have to like mix in, and then there's rules. There's like, is it the hard over soft or soft over hard?
It's fat over lean. I learned that.
Thank you. Fat over lean. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of rules, and it's just like you can have an acrylic base and then build on top of that, but you can't have an oil base and then put acrylic on top. It doesn't work. So it's just like there's too many rules for me. And I don't like
that. It's amazing how many people don't know that you can't put acrylic on top of an oil paint.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I had an artist that was next to me at a small market fair that we were at, and she's like, I just can't get the paint to stick. She was like a flower sculpture or something. So she can't get the paint to, she was trying to do some sort of, it was an acrylic. And I'm like, look at this material. It's made of petroleum. It was like a leaf, and I'm like, you're never going to get any watercolors or anything to stick on that. So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting. So everybody is always still learning, and
100%.
I would love some feedback from your watchers, listeners on some oil paint techniques, maybe, since you've given me a little advice on some product.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I'll stick a link to RF pigment sticks in the show notes so that people are interested in art. It's just like they come in different sizes. I had to clean out my studio because our rooms flooded. Yes. Our rooms flooded over the weekend with the really big storms that we've been having here in Dallas.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to get a bigger studio, so whatever.
I did. I know your wife was a no-go on moving your bedroom.
It was a hard no. We've got 1,400 square feet in our apartment. I'm literally in our little study that's also my son's bedroom when he comes back into town from college. So this is as big as the room is. Which for me, I like cozy.
Yeah.
Too much space and echoey. I get a little noise interference, but it's fine. Everything's fine.
It's we as artists, we will find any space that we can take over. I think my first art studio in one of my houses was the really small laundry room. Like I said, this is my space. Yeah, like I took it over. Okay. And then when I moved here to Texas, I was living with my parents in a fifth wheel trailer with the dog for like 6 months. Great cozy time with your parents, everyone. Fantastic.
And the walls are very thin in those. And the roof.
Because we were in the trailer park, and they had storage units. And so I rented one of like the 5x10 storage units, and it's in Texas. So there's no AC, it's all heat, and I sweated my little ass off that summer painting. Like I would have to go in and come out and like take a breath, go like drenched in sweat. I had to wear workout clothes while I painted.
Wow.
But you do it for the love of the art, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have decided though for suffering, I'm not sure that I'm ever going to do another outdoor show with a tent and all that. I started with that, and it's a great experience, but I really like indoor events nowadays.
Yeah, right?
So
what is your favorite type of medium that you work with? Like, what do you primarily use?
I just kind of like right now, like what I'm really loving is gouache.
Gouache. An
I like it
that acts like a watercolor, people, for those who are not artists.
It's kind of an opaque watercolor. But what I love about it is, I do mix the watercolor. And Kristen Edwards, who was on your show, she also uses the acrylic inks, which I actually purchased some after asking her about that. Oh,
yeah.
Am I good?
Oh, you're good. You're fine. I can still see it.
Okay. But gouache, you can lay it down and it still moves. Like you can still mix other colors in and do some fantastic shading. And this is a majority of gouache.
Yeah, gouache is a really, really fun medium. And they come in little itty bitty tubes. You don't need a whole lot.
No,
Because it does
I've got a
add
little palette that was my brother's, which is another thing. Like I use in every piece that I make, I use an art supply that I got from him after he passed. So brushes, paints, rulers, whatever, the pencil sharpeners that I got from him. So I've used most of those supplies because it's been a few years, but that's what I wanted to do. But yeah, gouache. It's forgiving. Again, like watercolor, you have to monitor your pigment to water ratio, which is so hard to master. But I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to pick my color schemes and then work within that. And then I throw that out the window and go bright.
I mean, it happens all the time.
It does. Yeah. So gouache, and like I said, I'm stepping into oil paints, and I've got one sitting behind me that I'm just practicing a landscape. Some dramatic clouds, and and I think another material, like canvas is great, but I found these matte boards, these big, just what matte, and I love working on that. It's like working on watercolor paper a little bit.
Yeah.
So I love canvas. In fact, I've got got some raw canvas that I'm
I love raw canvas right now. It's my jam.
So this isn't like canvas that is like that you buy for painting. This is a canvas tarp.
Yeah. Well, it's still canvas at the end of the day.
Yeah, I soaked it because it's so hard. It's so absorbent. I soaked it in gesso.
Yeah.
Days from days.
Yeah,
and
you have to add your layers of gesso, then sand, and then add more layers of gesso and sand, and it's a whole process of priming a canvas to be ready to be painted on.
Yeah, so I think that's a material that if anyone, and it's super rough, so it's your painting's going to be textury and all that. So I, again, not found object, but price, cost saving, maybe not frustration saving, but ow.
You okay?
Sorry. Yeah, I don't have a lot of room, and I got long elbows.
You do need to move your studio into the bedroom. Tell your wife I said so.
Well, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it into the living room because that's where it goes when my son's here.
Yeah.
And so I did my series that I had for or collection. I like how you said that, collection.
Yeah.
That I had for the other art fair. I did all out there, and it was awesome.
Yeah. It's
Around
amazing how a room can really change how you paint.
Mm-hmm.
Because I dance while I paint, so it's just like I need a whole room. I need movement. I need to be able to wiggle my body around and flail my arms like Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think at this point I need to have a camera set up while I paint so people can just watch my awkwardness and how paint actually comes to
You should
life.
do a time-lapse video of you just...
Yeah, right? It's
But it's going... Whoa!
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway,
I listen to podcasts whenever I paint, and I'm in my studio. I love true crime and history and all those man type stuff. British scandals, that's really cool. And so I listen to a lot of that, and I do have to switch from. I make sure that I switch from sitting down and painting to standing up and painting. So I prefer sitting. But
see, I find that I have more movement. I'm not so constricted. No, you're fine. Not so constricted when I'm painting if I'm standing. Oh.
And my plugger came out. This is so professional.
Yeah, no, we can't have you going away yet. But yeah, I think it's really interesting because it's there's been sometimes when it's smaller paper, I've done small canvas paper stuff. I'll sit, but when it's a bigger canvas, I have to stand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yeah.
Because it's a
And
different
once you have it
movement
set
with
up,
your body.
Yeah. And I don't have like one of those fancy easels yet. I just make it work however I can, you know. I would love to have one of those where you lock it in and drawers and stuff like that.
I don't.
I know. It sounds cool, but it really just sounds like a big heavy piece of furniture I might have to move around.
Yeah. No,
So,
a long time ago, I had a friend, Valerie Wells. She was one of my artists that I interviewed. Her episode has already aired. Long time friend. She actually, she went to art school, went to photography school, did a lot of painting, and she had a travel easel that goes like in a backpack. And she was cleaning out her studio, and she's like, oh, I have two, and she just gave me one. And
is it the tripod type deal that folds out?
Yeah, it folds out. You put out the legs, and it has like a little storage
area.
Have one. And it's great that's what I used it for when I was in, when I moved into a smaller apartment, when I was in the laundry room. It's a great transition piece because there's like, you can have the easel when you need it, or you can put it away. Yeah. And it folds up, or if you did want to go outside and paint, you could go outside and paint.
The only thing that I've found with those is you're not going to do a whole lot of heavy work on the canvas. It's wobbly, but it does give you that patience to be able to, okay, I can't shake this, or it could help with some stuff. But
what I did is I propped it up. I put the base on the table and then just propped it up, and I didn't use the shaky legs.
Very nice.
There you go. That's an option for you.
That, but I like making things difficult for myself.
Right? Because that's what we as artists do. It's just like, no, it has to be done this way.
Yeah, I heard Jack White talk about when he's on stage that he will purposefully make a transition from one instrument to the other very difficult, like just a little further to get it to on the stage, because it gives him that sense of urgency and gives that push and that every little bit of pain, I guess, or struggle gives you better and more capacity to perform and to be good at what you do. And I love that. I like to carry a sketchbook wherever it goes, so I'm comfortable drawing, painting those places. But yeah, pretty cool. I like that little easel. I like my drafting table is another good one.
Oh yeah, because you can tilt up and get the angle that you need it. Yeah, no, that's all good. That's all good. So, Alan, where can people find your work if they wanted to purchase something for you?
Well, I've got a whole studio. They can come on by. Yeah, come on. Stacking them deep, sell them cheap. No. You can go. I'm on social media. My Instagram is @AlanSimontonArts. And I have 2 Facebook pages. My personal, which is just Alan Simonton, and then, shocker, Alan Simonton Arts.
Wow.
On Facebook. I'm very creative. So I'm there, and then I have, a spattering of like a Square website and stuff like that. But I love for people to message me, and then I like to have a personal text message conversation or a phone call, something like that. So I really want to understand, just like in my real estate business, I want to understand what your motivation and your what you like, what your style is, what your colors are. So yeah. That's where I think you can find me. I don't have another show planned just yet, but if you know of some decent ones, guys out there, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't. Otherwise, I'd be.
Well, you're a baby.
I have baby.
This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on a new collection. Like, I probably won't show for a while. Get some new work ready. But yeah, so that's awesome. So I will put all of that information, the website, the Instagram, email, all of that in the show notes. Okay. So if you did want to, message Alan, and if you are in the DFW area and you just happen to be here and message him and maybe want to see some stuff, I'm sure he seems like the person that said, yeah, I'll show you. on
Yeah.
over. Big cup of
Yeah.
coffee. Sit
I've
chat.
got a great place that I live. We're in Uptown Dallas, so
Oh, nice.
it's walkable, and I have, plenty of space. I've got a great amenities area that I can even lay stuff. Listen, if you want to, if you have any questions, text me 214-534-7696, or you can email Alan at simontongallery.com.
There we go. I'll put that all in the show notes. And if also you need a real estate agent and you're in the DFW area as well, we'll plug that in for you as well.
Knob and Key Realty. My wife and I own the brokerage. So my wife is the broker and a realtor, and I'm a realtor as well. We're a small, kind of boutique, but we are very relationship focused. We're not transactional. It's personal, right?
Oh, 100%.
So, relational.
Yeah. As it should be when you're buying a house. Or selling it.
It's, again, like art, it's an emotional purchase.
It is. It really is. Well, thank you, Alan, so much for coming on the Artist Stoop today. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll chat soon again.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jillian. I am extremely grateful to be on this platform with you and get this opportunity. I'm extremely grateful. And if there's anything that I can do to help, with getting your podcast, your art out there, let me know. I love sharing other artists' stuff that I get into a relationship with. So.
And that, my friends, wraps up another colorful episode of The Artist Stoop. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their art and stories. If you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the next Stoop chat. And don't forget to spread the love. Share your favorite episodes with fellow art enthusiasts, and let's build this community together. Connect with us on social media at JGuze Studio and Jillian Zepeda Art for behind-the-scene peeks, artist spotlights, and a sneak peek at my own art. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and keep that creative fire burning. This is Jillian Zepeda signing off from the Artist Stoop. And remember, the world is your canvas, so paint it vividly.